You'd want the camera on, wouldn't you? You'd want the camera on, you chuffer. And you haven't got your hat on. So, I haven't got the camera on. I couldn't imagine that they'd be able to hear me. I haven't got the camera on. No. I couldn't imagine that they definitely can. Let's have the hat. Look, I've got normal hair. Just wear that. It gets in my face. It goes like that. Gets in my face. Tuck it behind the ears. Put the hat on. It's Mental Health Monday. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganji Kid. The Grave Kipper. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. It's Mental Health Monday. Why has the music stopped? Why'd that stop, you chuffer? There you go. Calm, relaxing music from Genshin Impact. Already making a mess. I've got you on chat. Got you on the screen. Mental health and loneliness. A report. This is a report about mental health and loneliness, the relationship across the life stages. So there you go. It's about 2 weeks old. It's a government report from the UK. So we're going to talk our way through this. That's what's Mental Health Monday today. That's what I'm doing. Why have I got two Mondstadt sounds in the background? Oh, I've probably got Genshin Impact opening another window.
Surely I should be due a growth spurt by now.
So we'll just quit that. I was going to use it to illustrate a point, but I'm not going to bother. Turn that off. And I would say as well, I'm not really feeling it today myself. Not really feeling it. I'll tell you for why. I think this is why anyway. I was on a big chuffer of a stream this weekend. We did a nice, solid, put our time in on the old impact. Put our time in on the old impact. We did a good solid load of streaming this weekend on the old impact. I just feel a bit tired, I guess, maybe. A bit of a sore throat. I haven't fixed this chair. Oh, that's a hot chocolate. If this chair's going to squeak on me, I'm just going to change chair. I'm not having this creaky, squeaky bollocks going on. Chuffer. I've got two of these. The other one's for guests now. Give guests the creaky one. Give that. That's better. That's just what they're like when you first put them together. Uh-oh, sore throat. Yeah, I think it's just because I was talking for like 12 hours. Talking and smoking for 12 hours over the weekend. You know, being on stream a lot. And also, I will give a quick nod to this, but I don't want to spend too much time doing this, but a YouTuber died. If I just put Technoblade, it will just come up, won't it? It's sad. Technoblade died of cancer. He's a Minecrafter YouTuber. I didn't really watch him. So like, I'm not like, oh my god, Technoblade died. But I understand the feeling. Like, you know, I'm not like, I understand the grief from the people that did. 13 million subscribers, like one of the biggest Minecraft subscribers. Sorry, one of the biggest Minecraft streamers. So yeah, I just like, you know, been catching up with that on YouTube today, making myself feel really like, you know, really, really cheerful. And I was thinking, should I do an episode on grief? Or it's in the hands of the people that do Minecraft. You know, it's not my conversation to have really. So certainly not going to try and bandwagon the man now he's dead. But yeah, just in my research today, instead of feeling all cheerful and chirpy and ready to go Mental Health Monday, I just feel a bit like, oh. But I thought I'll switch it on. I'll cheer up when I'm here. I'm here, so I'll cheer up. And like, part of the point is that I'm here, isn't it? Like, that's part of the point. If you're watching this and you don't want to talk in chat, but you do feel like you do want to talk, then we've got some numbers that we put up on screen. The Samaritans 116123 for free in the UK, and in America it's Lifeline, which is 988. I'll just say it out loud because I can't get it on the internet today. 988. So they're the numbers. But otherwise, I'm going to crack on with some chuffing, some talking, some conversation, mainly, really. It's a bit of a conversation. I am always chuffing. I'm going to do another... Let's see how I go for an hour, because I don't know if you can hear it in my throat. Don't know if you can... It's like, just in here, I feel a bit like... But I did want to bring this. I got this sort of planned, not planned, but I've got a couple of government reports that I've been looking at. I did want to bring this to the fore. It's a little episode we can do. I'll just see how I go doing it. You can hear it. Yeah, I see. I am poorly, aren't I? I don't know if it's necessarily a good idea for me to sit here and talk for an hour and smoke. I need some warm fluids and to rest. So I've put some vegan nuggets in the oven. And I've just sat down to do this, actually. I've realised in 15 minutes I'd better go and turn off the oven, otherwise they're going to burn. Why did I do that? My brain's not working. Let's have a little look at this report. I'll just see if I can breeze through a bit of it. And if I'm not feeling it, we'll knock it on the head early. But this report is from the government to explore how those diagnosed with mental health problems experience loneliness, the extent to which social stigma is associated with mental health conditions and it plays a role in loneliness, how experiences of loneliness among those who have experienced mental health conditions may vary by life stage. And it draws on 6 interviews with expert stakeholders, 37 in-depth interviews and 14 diaries. So the interviews will be a reasonably, you can say that's a reasonably good and valid way of collecting information. The diaries, self-reporting are still good, they're still good. But we're not talking about thousands of people here. We're talking about 37 interviews and 14 diaries. Participants were recruited. This is like the government doing this. Pros and cons from me. It's good they're doing something. And today they've, or over the weekend, or it might have been last week, they announced their new mental health bill. And it's more legal than anything, the mental health bill in some aspects. So I'm not going to go into it too much, but this is one of the things that they were, using as their research. The relationship between loneliness and mental health. Participants did not always describe themselves as feeling lonely. Instead, they talked about feeling isolated, alone, or being a loner. And that's quite an interesting thing to pick up on straight away, isn't it? People don't say, oh, I'm lonely. I don't have a loneliness problem, but they say, I might feel isolated, or I'm a loner. Like, maybe that's not even a negative tag, being a loner. Maybe the strong, silent types, maybe it's just a, thing people say. Like a character trait. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We'll see from this report if at this point your interest is piqued because you think, I don't see many people, don't have that many friends, spend a lot of time on my own. We'll see how we can combat that at the end of this. And in fact, in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we'll see that, because I want to make sure I actually say it in case my throat packs in and I just decide to call it a day early. But I'm going to go over the main big points then, and we can get into some deeper topic later maybe. Mental health conditions reduce capacity for social interaction. So if you're feeling down, you're less likely to talk to other people and go out and socialise. Seems straightforward, doesn't it? Public spaces can also feel overwhelming. If you've got mental health issues, it doesn't just have to be depression. It could be anxiety, other things that can make you feel overwhelmed in a public space. And participants felt their mental health thwarted their capacity to be supportive to others. So having mental health struggles yourself, the participants in this study said that it thwarted, or it got in the way of their capacity to be supportive to others. It inhibited, it prevented, it nipped it in the bud. It stopped their capacity to be supportive to others. I don't know if that's entirely true of myself, from my own experience. I'm here doing it. But that's what's come up through this. Negative perceptions about themselves or others could lead to withdrawal. It does seem sad, doesn't it? It does seem sad. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like a snake eating its tail. The more you feel bad, the less you're going to see other people. You're going to withdraw. and that's going to make you feel worse. Mental health conditions associated with feeling with low self-esteem, they were worried about stigma they might experience because of their mental health issues. Certain conditions could also lead to negative perceptions of social relationships, leading to brooding, anger, or intolerance of others. And that's an interesting point that we don't pick up on a lot on Mental Health Monday, do we? That it doesn't just lead to you feeling bad. We say depression is rage turned inwards. Depression is rage turned inwards, we sometimes say. But it doesn't have to be that you feel bad. It might be that you turn that outward and get angry about something else. It might be that you feel angry about stuff. I can never know. On Mental Health Monday, I relate it to myself a lot sometimes, rather than saying you might do this when it's a bad thing. When it's a good thing, I'm like, oh, you and I, we share this. But when it's a bad thing, I'll just say, just for me, just as an example. I can get really cross and eggy about like popular culture in a way, I guess. I can feel like, oh, the bands I like, they never got to be big and famous. Well, Nirvana did, but the bands I like, but these pop artists, oh, everyone loves the pop artists, oh, I don't like that. I can have a rant and a moan, can't I, sometimes, about like the way of the world. Is that anger turned outwards? Is that depression? Is that low self-esteem turned outwards? To people who are happy in their day-to-day life, who are not feeling like a loner, do they feel less angry? Do they not? Is it easier for them to just brush that off and not worry? It's worth thinking about, isn't it? And the intolerance of others, I can see where they're going with this, though. This is a government report, remember? So what they're sort of saying there is that mental health can lead to bad crimes. I'll just say anger or intolerance of others, which obviously leads to bad crimes, doesn't it? They're not saying it explicitly, but it's there in the government report. Not being able to share what they're struggling with others, feeling the need to hide mental health symptoms for being seen as a downer. So not being able to share that you're struggling, hiding your symptoms because you're seen as a downer. You said that's really complicated as well, because sometimes you don't know their symptoms. You might just be feeling down. Like I said today when I started this, I don't really feel like doing it today. Or what if I was doing that at work on the Monday? Oh, so-and-so's a right moody chuffy. It's Monday, but we don't have to listen to them moaning again, do we? What a downer. Or they might be going through a mental health struggle and they don't know it. So they might just be expressing dissatisfaction in different ways, and then they get the label as a downer. So now they don't want to talk to people at work because they know that people at work are talking about them and think they're moody, so they're not bothered. Those chuffers at work, fuck them off. Maintaining a pretense of being fine when around others, that's the other option here, is, rather than having everyone think you're a chuffer, oh no, I'm fine, everything's cool. That's exhausting and unsustainable, leading to them withdrawing from social contact instead. And that's a critical point here. Instead of saying, oh look, this is really exhausting, and having to keep this face up and smile every time and just get on with it and keep it all inside, instead of talking about it and letting it out, instead people just stop talking to people altogether. Because I have to keep the face up, I'd rather not see you so I don't have to keep my face up. Because instead of like, I'll just talk to you about it and tell you what, I'm not keeping the face up, I'll just see you and be myself and be honest. I'd rather not see you. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Misery loves company, and then we laugh about it. That's a good point. You could be angry with other people. Doesn't it? Through my experience on the internet, people, when I'm angry about stuff, they tend to like switch off. They don't like it. Like if I'm doing a stream and I start ranting and moaning about something, people tend to not like it as much as when I'm doing happy and having fun. It's just, maybe that's the facet of entertainment that I'm in, but I don't even think of myself as an entertainer. I think more as like a broadcaster, online person. I don't know, yeah. But so we're saying here though that it's possible that people don't, that they, when they're feeling these bad things, they stay away from other people instead. Stigma affected participants' ability to be open about their feelings. Loneliness led to a decline in mental health. The stigma associated with mental health was that people would be seen as weak, unreliable, attention-seeking, a downer or a burden. Kind of different concepts, coming from different places. Attention-seeking, weak, unreliable. Unreliable is one that I recognise because it's hard to be reliable when you don't know what you're going to feel like the next day. A downer, We talked about that just a minute ago. A burden. So you don't want to make people feel like they have to deal with your problems when they've got their own. Attention seeking and weak. On the other hand, the stigma linked to loneliness meant people avoided using the term. So with loneliness, people don't even say it. They say they're sad, needy or desperate. But they're all terms that you could factor into loneliness. Reaction or dismissal or trivialization when people admitted they were struggling left participants feeling judged or shameful, reinforcing stigma. So that's like double bubble. You know, I use that phrase sometimes, double bubble. That's like you do talk about it and then someone has a bad reaction and they say, oh, what you on about, you chuffer? You're just being desperate. You're so unreliable. Why would anyone want to hang out with you, chuffer? And then you're like, oh, why did I even talk about that? That's even worse now. That's even worse. Now I feel shamed. It reinforces it. So I won't even bother going and talking about it ever again. So that's a problem that they've brought up in a government report. After studying their reports and their in-depth interviews. I mean, I don't know if you know, because we've been doing Mental Health Monday here for like over a year, I don't know if you know that that's pretty straightforward standard stuff, isn't it? That's when you're talking about mental health, that's standard stuff, that's straightforward. I don't know if you needed that in a report. I don't know if you didn't know that and you're working, you know, in government trying to work out what's going on in mental health. If you didn't know these basics, you really need to be clued in. But hopefully that, you know, all makes sense. It's there in black and white. They talk about key events in life stages. So, in early adulthood, leaving the family home and transitioning to living independently was associated with the risk of loneliness and poor mental health. Not having a new social circle through the workplace could lead to loneliness. In a government report recommending you get into work, that's where you should enjoy your social time at work. That's not exactly the right answer there, but not having a new social circle through the workplace could lead to loneliness. For parents of young children, so the next phase of life, having kids yourself, the increased stress associated with new caring responsibilities led to poor mental health. Social expectations that you should be able to manage made it difficult to admit that you were struggling. And fertility issues or pregnancy loss was something that people felt they couldn't talk about. In middle age, there were overlaps with other events, like a decline in physical health was, of course, increased loneliness, a deterioration in mental health, people experiencing chronic pain or mobility issues. So if you're not physically able to move, you don't go to so many social issues, managing difficult family situations, estranged children. There's all sorts of things here on the list, isn't there? And bereavement, of course. Bereavement. So it gets a bit heavier in later life, it seems. Doesn't it? We always just expect the adults to be able to deal with things, don't we? I don't know at what stage we have to start considering ourselves adults, and at what stage do you look at the older generation and stop thinking of them as the adults and realise that you're one of them, or maybe you're not yet, I don't know. But you always kind of look up in the age range, don't you, and think, well, they've got it, you know, they know a bit more, the wisdom of the elders, but they're struggling with other things that maybe we don't even get our heads around yet. So let's get on to the recommendations. Let's cheer everyone up. My nuggets will be burning. Hang on, just one sec. One nugget, boy. So, my nuggets, my vegan nuggets, are at that perfect stage where they're not cooked, but they're not cold. But they're not cooked, so they're going to be in there another 5 or 10 minutes. Exactly the right amount of time for me to forget them, run the rest of this episode, get talking about something else, and forget, and then turn up to burn dinner. So let's see what happens when the recommendations for support, shall we? Participants had accessed a range of support for their mental health through formal health services. So it is, again, like the report draws from 37 in-depth interviews and 14 diaries. I don't know if they're separate. I don't know if that's 37 people and like they're only 14 of them brought diaries, or whether it's 37 people and a separate 14 people wrote diaries. You know, I don't know how many people in each age range or anything, because they're looking at these 3 different age ranges. So it seems like it's good to have a study on this presented to the government in the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport. It's good to be spending our money on this sort of stuff, isn't it? But feels a little bit light on the old... feels a little bit light in certain aspects. And certainly everything that we've said so far is just generality that I could have told you. Because having done mental health, like not study, but every Monday I bring an episode to table, don't I? And we talk about a mental health thing. Having looked at that for over a year, I'm pretty sure I could have written this off the top of my head. This is me being that negative moaning because I'm feeling rough. Exactly what I said. This is me being a downer now. Do you see what I'm doing it? Moaning about the government. Oh, those fucking chuffers at the government. Pretending they're spending our money on this good stuff when they're actually stealing. Should look for the positives in this. The recommendations for improving support. This is what the government should listen to try and improve support. So before we get to that, I'm going to tell you what I think they should do. Number one, right, you know how you've got a hospital? You know, because you work in the hospital, Snippies. They are chuffers. I'm not wrong. The recommendation, I say, I think it's quite straightforward at my end. I know that about the hospital. I know that if I fall over and crack my head open or break my arm, I'm off to the A&E. You know, I know where I'm going with that. I sit there, oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, I broke my fucking arm. And they're like, all right, in you go. Or if I break my leg, I'll call the ambulance. Yeah. I think in this country, I can only talk for the UK because I don't live in other countries. I think America's similar, but I don't know because I'm not there. But certainly in this country, I know that at the start of this episode, I recommended the Samaritans. Why won't it come up now? Oh, don't do that. Just show me the Samaritans again, like I had it earlier. Thanks. I recommended the Samaritans. This is a charity. And a lot of people would say if you're feeling low, if you're feeling depressed, you might want to call the Samaritans. They'd understand that in our country. Like most people know what that is. But like, what's your first point of call for mental health support? It's the doctor, is it, I suppose? And then you go to the doctor and you go through a process and you know, it's all a bit worrisome. I think that in the same way as you fall and bang your head and you know you're going to A&E, we should have a mental health support drop-in centre that everyone knows. It doesn't matter which range of the spectrum you're at, whether you're on, like, because at A&E, it doesn't matter whether you've, like, just broken a finger or your full leg has come off. Like, you're going to A&E. It's everything in between, isn't it? It's minor injury to something really serious. Get you to A&E, they'll sort it out there. They'll grade you and appraise you and put you through. And so I think we should have a mental health support system like that, like a mental health hospital. And okay, in the day-to-day in that mental health hospital, they're running appointments and counselling and, you know, scheduling people in. But if you're just in an emergency situation, you turn up there and they start dealing with you on day one. And like, if you need an immediate session or a like conversation with a more informed group of people, or if you need some time like on the ward, or you know, whatever the fuck it is, not like a tie you up, put you in a straitjacket, strap you down, take you, but just like a, you know, a place you would feel comfortable to go to, just like A&E for mental health, like a mental health A&E unit attached to a proper mental health support unit. And in the same way as, like, if you're going to have a hospital in every city and a fire station in every city, police service in every city, you need this in every city. It wouldn't be a problem for me to just say, right, yeah, just bang them in. Let's start going. Let's start stocking them with good quality staff, and let's start putting the support groups together. And like, it's like a hub, isn't it? Then it's like a mental health hub. You'd know where to go. Talking of stigmas, we wouldn't want it to be like some nut house, all bars and windows, and everyone getting injected and electroshocked. It'd have to seem much more like a positive community, you know.
You're right, born to kill on your helmet, and you wear a peace button. What's that supposed to be, some kind of...
Yeah, I can't keep screaming today.
I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir.
Thanks very much for your tippies. It really should just be somewhere like that you might even... Don't forget my nuggets. Good point. I'm going to give them 5 more minutes. Give them 5 more minutes. But yeah, thanks. I just make this point. I didn't even start the recommendations. So before I start their recommendations, I'll finish my point and then on. Everyone that comes forward with mental health problems feels like it's stigmatized. Yeah, that was big on the report. So I think the place that you go for your mental health support hub, and that has the A&E attached to it, might also be somewhere that you might just want to go to hang out to make yourself feel better for a day. Like, might be nice to be there. Like, it could be serious, and like when I'm talking about a mental health support facility run by a government, like a hospital or a fire station, like, yeah, obviously that sounds clinical and serious, but okay, I will go 5 minutes. I will just 1 minute when I've said this. But what I'm saying is that, like, things that are good for your mental health are nice, relaxing, enjoyable. Like, you might be able to get a massage at this place. You might be able to play computer games with your friends. I'm not saying there should be an alcohol bar. Obviously, alcohol is not, you know, a non-alcoholic bar though. So like a coffee shop, like relaxing environment. You might be able to do gardening classes there. You know, do you know what I'm saying? It might have more to it. We know all this other stuff is mentally healthy, and what we're going to come on to see in their recommendations, being part of a community, like, so it doesn't have to be like the mental health hospital where people are locked away and all the crazy people are there. Obviously the A&E section, the bit where somebody turns up at oh, I'm having a really fucking bad day today and I really can't take it, come right with me, we've got a room for that, come right with me. Robert, I'm taking, you know, we're going to need you on, you know, like with your little pages, going to need you on a emergency thing today. Okay, class, do your own gardening for today. I'm going to be off talking to somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like, it, or like actually designated doctors on the A&E ward like they would have. I don't know how it would run exactly, but you'd have the people there who could deal with the emergencies, who could deal with the ongoing treatments of those emergencies. Not just like, oh, you've come to our support network, wait 6 months for an appointment to see if you're mad enough to get an appointment again. No, like immediately now, and from now until, you know, when you're finished being healthy, you can keep coming here, and we've got all these, like, you know, systems in place for you to interact with and feel more mentally healthy. Like, yes, there'll be a ward where people can stay. There might have to be some locks on some doors. There might have to be some security issues in some places, but I'm not designing a mental health prison here. And that's not what I'm saying. What I meant was for security, so that like any old person can't just go running in on the, do you know what I mean? Like security, like normal security. But yeah, like a normal, it seemed like a health centre, like a positive health centre. Not, oh no, I'm really suffering, so I've got to go in this horrible place with the padded walls. But you know what? I pop down there once every week anyway to see my mates, because I do this class, and feeling pretty bad this week, feeling pretty stressed. So I might go down there and see if they can, you know, talk to me for 10, 20 minutes, half an hour. So I might sign up for one of those counselling appointments. And if I feel really bad, you know, if some shit happens, like my nuggets burn, I'll go and check them now. But if my nuggets burn, then I might go down there and say, look, I'm having a real bad day, my nuggets are burned, I just need to stay here tonight. Or maybe, you know, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, nuggets burning was a silly example, but if something really bad happens, you know, like they've got an A&E section for that. They've got doctors who can prescribe and understand and talk and all that there. As well as I do my classes there, I do my gardening, I go there and play pool with my mates. Like, that's my recommendation. How would I instigate it? How would I make it happen? I'd have to put loads of money into it. I'd just spend money on employing people, training people, building these hospitals and staffing them. That'd be good for the economy, for the people that work there. I'll get my nuggets. I was just thinking about my idea then that I said. I'll tell you about it in a second, but my nuggies first. I was so worried. I turned the oven down, so now they've not burned, but they don't look any further cooked. It's that I like nuggies and things like that to be crispy, so I turn the oven up a little too much. I play that dangerous game where you turn the oven up a little bit too much and you get that real crispy edge, but if you leave it in too long, it's ruined. Well, what I've actually done is I've overcooked them by 10 minutes, but not hot enough. So now they're probably really cooked. They're probably definitely cooked. Not going to give me, bad tummy, but they're still not exactly crispy. So I have to just accept that. I've turned the oven off and I've left it drier, more dry. The inside will be more dry and the outside will be more soft and soggy. It should be the other way around, shouldn't it? The outside should be all crunchy and the inside should be all soft and anyway. Inverted nuggies, inverse nuggies. They'll be fine. I'll look forward to them. I'm looking forward to them. What I was saying about this thing, right? And this is interesting. This is a government report, and I'm going to do a little moan, but it's just a really brief moan. It's a really brief one, and it's only really pertinent to the UK viewers and anyone that sees this in the UK. But there's an economic principle. We've got this problem at the moment about inflation. I'm not going to do an economics lesson about inflation. You either understand it or you don't. If you don't, find it out somewhere else. Inflation. Prices are going up. The amount of money you've got in your pocket is not going up. Like the prices are going up. The amount of money you've got not going up. This is a problem, isn't it? And one of the recommendations for fixing inflation is they recommend tinkering with interest rates. It's a Keynesian monetary aspect of economics. You can tinker with interest rates. If interest rates are low, you don't get much savings. You put $100 in the bank, save it at a very low interest rate, you don't get much money, do you? So you might as well go out and spend that money. You're getting a very low interest on your savings. But if you high interest rates, keep your money in the bank. Oh, don't spend that. Savings going up, good interest rate. So it encourages spending. It discourages spending if you lower the interest rates. These sort of things, like you tinker with the system in that way. But the government are not doing something at the moment that's critical, and nobody has spotted it in the UK. No one's having a big shout about it, but I just realised it then, which is that we pay our taxes. Yes, everyone, our taxes. More taxes are bad because I haven't got as much money, but like the government uses that tax money to do stuff, and what it does makes a difference to our lives. If the government, and I'm not saying more or less taxes, I'm saying what they do with the taxes that they've got anyway. If they spend those taxes on reinvesting in our society, like creating jobs, like let's say they put lots more, build one of my mental health hospitals, suddenly in that area there's money coming into we're all paying our taxes as normal, but this week they're building one of those hospitals. So like, because you're building a hospital, you've got people in jobs doing the construction, you've got people in jobs doing the think about all the jobs along the way in the chain, the raw materials, the people driving the vans, the people like they build the hospital, and then you've got people that are fitting all the lights, and then you've got like the people that work in the hospitals, all the hospital equipment comes in, and then you've got so it creates like a whole ecosystem's worth of jobs building stuff like that, public projects, municipal spending. If instead you funnel the money off and spend it on bombs, sending rockets to Ukraine, your friends run arms dealers, so you're buying a lot of rockets this month, or whatever it is, if you're funneling the money off and using it to furnish your Downing Street flat and have parties, or whatever it is that our government are doing, they said they were going to build 40 new hospitals recently this week. Just quickly, I'll just show you, because it ties into this. 40 new hospitals. I already know that this claim is the government going to provide these hospitals, and the facts have been checked. What happened to the pledge? It's one of those Amber Heard pledges. What happened to the pledge? 40 billion. And the watchdog, the government spending watchdog, are getting involved, and they're saying, where are you? You said you were going to spend this money on these hospitals. What's going on? And so now that they're getting involved, now 3.7 billion has been allocated very quickly. Boris Johnson's saying he's getting on with it now. By 2030, he's going to get on with it. It's all pie in the sky. The point being, if they're not actually, because we know the hospitals aren't being built, whether he says they're going to get on with it, or whether it's a pledge or a commitment or whatever, right now they're not being built, because it's still in this phase of pledge and commitment and by 2030, yeah? So Boris Johnson, the Tory government have been in for like 10 years. If you're not spending this money on these things, it's not just hospitals. That's a big, clear symbol. That's something you can always see and understand, the hospitals pledge. But it goes deeper, and it's lots of different ways they're not spending on public spending and instead spending on something else. If that's going on, when we talk about the economy, remember I said that the public spending, it creates all those jobs, and it creates, like, if you work in that mental health hospital, you've got a job now, so you're spending a bit more money, you've got a bit more income. That inflation problem is not just about interest rates, it's also about how the government spend the money that they bring in. And so a government like ours at the moment, a right-wing capitalist, Boris Johnson, laissez-faire, Etonian mess, like they are not really doing the best thing for the country, and it can be borne out and seen in the economy and the way the economy is having its problems. And so, you can say all sorts of things to be in response, the economy this, the economy that. Trust me, if you spend all that money and build 40 new hospitals, one in every big city now, those big cities are going to see a big increase in the number of jobs, the number of, like, around those hospitals. There'll be sandwich shops, there'll be taxis, like, it'll create it'll help with the economy. And that's what's absent from our economy at the moment, where we've got such big health inflation problems. So it's a knock-on effect when we're looking at this mental health. We're going to look at their recommendations for improving support, our government recommendations for improving support. But it's worth me saying, and everyone understanding, that my recommendation of build a great big mental health hospital, A&E department, hangout lounge, ongoing support centre, employ people, train counsellors, get people coming through the school system and have them as apprentice counsellors, and get this whole thing going, make it an ecosystem, have jobs surrounding it, put a cafe in there, and have one of those in every city. It's only a small thing, but those sort of activities, not only do they add up to better mental health because of the actual things, like putting a youth centre in is another example. Youth centre, youth support, boxing training, supporting, I was going to say gymnastics, but that's a bad example, isn't it, with what's going on in America, but it's still good sport. Supporting sports programs and stuff like that. It doesn't just create better mental health because when you go to a sports program, you get better mental health. It creates better mental health because there are more people in a community that are engaged in something constructive, that have got a job, that have got a support group. It creates more intangible benefit than just what it does as a thing. A hospital turns sick people into people that are better, hopefully. That's their job. That. It's not just building buildings, they need to fund medical education. Yeah, exactly. Staff those places as well. Fund the education, get the people in the schools coming through the system. But the idea of the hospital is just, you go in, you're poorly, you come out, you're better. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's the nurses and the doctors and the people you talk to, and there's a little cafe there, and there's a little, it's a wellness centre for lots of different reasons, and having it as part of a community creates, the people that work at it shouldn't be that they feel negatively affected by their work. They should feel positively affected, hopefully, having a hospital in a community. And so I'm saying that about mental health support. So let's see what they say, but realise what I've said is instead of frittering our money away and stealing from us, if instead of that they would actually be doing these things that they pledged. I mean, he's laughing at us, Boris Johnson there, he's laughing at us, but then our lives would be better. So their recommendations are going to be slightly different to that. They're not going to recommend that we build a great big mental health. Of course they're not. They don't want to. But let's see what is recommended and see if we can draw anything out of this. I would recommend we put a lot of money into mental health support. That's a big thing. Sports teach you how to accept losing, says Roger Dodger. Very important for a young mind to learn how to deal with not winning all the time. Yeah, that's a really good point. There's so much character building that goes on through sporting endeavour. I'm a really big fan of using sport to improve people's lives, not just on a mental health aspect, but on a general. And there's so many things that you can learn in terms of discipline, self-control that you can take into any other field. And so I do it all the time. At the weekend I was playing a game on this Twitch and I found I was playing the Genshin Impact. I came up against a bit of a wall, and instead of quitting and getting cross, I did get a bit tetchy, but I used my, you know, the lessons I'd learned through sport to carry me through that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a good point, Roger. Nice to see a first-time chatter. This is what the government are going to recommend, though. Okay, so the government are recommending this. They're not going to recommend increased spending on mental health support, and they're not going to recommend building mental health centres because they don't want to do that. But they're saying the participants accessed a range of support. So they're saying there's already loads of support out there. There's not. These services tend to concentrate on the treatment of mental health symptoms or conditions. That's all they bloody can do. They've underfunded, cut to the bone. There were few examples where services suggested specific support to tackle loneliness that contributed to poor mental health, with mixed results in this respect. Instead, participants proactively sought out social support, so people had to do this for themselves. In their study, they found that if you want to fix your own mental health, you have to do it yourself because the government aren't going to help you. That's not the message I want to put across, of course. See the doctor, get on the list, but we shouldn't have a waiting list. Not because people are all happy and life is easy, but because we help them in good time. So through group activities or online interaction, well, I've got that here. We've got that here, online interaction, group activities. Participants made a number of recommendations about the way in which support could be improved. So we need to provide more local and tailored mental health support services in place of more generic online resources. So they're saying instead of stuff online that's general and you have to scroll through it and find it, what I'd rather do is just speak to somebody who understands me as a person and can then just say, oh, I know what you're saying, yeah, this is the leaflet you want and this is the class you want to be in. Why don't you come and speak to us once a week about it? We're going to be here for you. Like, that's what people want and they're asking for. And they're saying instead of that, they're getting generic online resources and they're hard to navigate. And who needs an online thing when you're having a mental health issue? It's great. Mind.org have really helped me. Mind.org. I think it's UK. Mind.org.uk. It's just got like so much information about mental health. So it doesn't matter what it is. There's an A to Z here. You can learn your way through all of it. Find all the most, just going to pick a random one there, paranoia. This is available in Welsh as well. You find all about it, people who have suffered from it, tell you about how it feels, and then it gives you the appropriate ways that you can seek help. It's really good. It's really good, this website. So that's a good website, but that's not the government doing that. That's a charity. And most people are saying that is too much for them. They would rather just talk to someone. Support group activities in communications around shared interests. So support can be improved by having shared interest groups like faith, disability, gender or sexual orientation. So this might be like a support group, or like, you know, we're in the, what did it say? Faith, disability, gender or sexual orientation. We are in the blind Muslim women's lesbian support group. That's what they want. That's just an example of one that they... I'm treading on thin ice on the internet here, aren't I? But that's an example. What we're saying there, though, is that people would rather have support groups that group them around shared interests. So I guess that's about stigma. Like, if you are disabled and you have to go to a mental health support group and no one else understands your particular, you know, the way mental health affects you specifically, maybe you don't feel like talking out loud so much in the group because maybe a, you know, all-female group would be more, feel better for you to open up into if you were a woman, or, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what they're saying. So I think I get that. In order to get that, in order to have those things, we need bigger, more rich, diverse mental health support services to start with. So that's goes back on the list of more money, bigger institution, not institutions like you're locked in an institution, but bigger And like I say, mental health support, mental health support should be enjoyable, shouldn't it? Like, you want people to feel good. A really thriving mental health support unit, a really good mental health support unit, would have pretty much everyone from the community dropping in at some point during the week to either do a class or hang out for a couple of hours or, maybe see a band. Like, you're talking about making people feel good and decreasing loneliness through increased social cohesion. So having gardening classes and women's swimming classes or gay comedy night or whatever, including everyone from society, but also, like they were saying, including people, not discriminating by faith, disability, gender or sexual orientation, but giving everyone a space where you can say, oh, this is a bit of a safe space for those people who feel discriminated. So you need a really vibrant community-based service for that, don't you? I think it would sound great. It would be like a pub, but without the alcohol and the fighting. It'd be like a pub, but instead of everyone getting wasted, there'd all be
You write born to kill on your helmet and you wear a peace button. What's that supposed to be, some kind of sick joke?
I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the snippies. It's alerting me when my sound's too long. Thank you very much for my tippies. Don't worry about are you getting called in for extra workies? The colonists are rowdy. Four, that's not double bubble, that's double bubble. Happy is it the 4th of July? I didn't realise. It's a big day in America, isn't it? It's a big day in America. You have an exciting and enthralling 4th of July, I'm sure you will. People getting fireworks pulled out of their ears and things, I'm sure. Have a good day. Thank you very much. I'll continue to just read the government recommendations and then we're basically finished with this. It does go on. I'll tell you what, it does go on. They have written a lot, but we're not going to go on too late today. We're just doing a little bit of a mental health pick-me-up with me moaning and complaining about the government. But there are some suggestions here, and they're good suggestions, so we're going to get to them. They also recommend we establish community-based caseworkers who can help people navigate complex mental health services, signpost local support and group activities, and support participants' families to understand mental health conditions. That would be great, all right? That would be great. Hello, capital K. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. I've got a bit of a sore throat and I've got my vegan nuggies in the oven, so I've had to turn the oven off and leave them to just gently warm the last part of their cooking. We're coming up on an hour of stream and it's Mental Health Monday. We're just doing something nice and chill. We're going to help the government to understand how to establish community case care workers now, which would be really straightforward if... Do you remember when you go on holiday? I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. When you go on holiday and you have a package holiday... You might not do this in America, but when you're a normal person from the UK, you'll have gone on a package holiday. And what that means is you don't have to think, right? You don't have to think. You want to go to Cyprus or Thailand or, I'm just reading the ones off the screen here, Cyprus. You want to go to Cyprus and you've got your budget. So you give them the money and they give you the plane and a bus and you don't know what the hotel's going to be like. You wait till you're on the bus and you're like, well, I hope this one's ours. And they're like, read off the names and then you're allocated. You get in the hotel and you're like, this is good. Sometimes it's all inclusive, all the food's laid on. Don't have to think on this one. Sit by the pool, sit on the beach. Do I want some food? I'll go to the hotel, they'll serve it me. All packed in, package holiday. When you go on these package holidays, right? Why am I going on about this? I mean, I haven't had a holiday for a good few years, and if you haven't either, welcome to Mental Health Monday. Do yourself a little break. Give yourself a break in some way. There's a top tip, Scott's top tip. Doesn't have to be a full holiday. Don't have to go over to Greece, but give yourself, even if you can't get a full holiday in, give yourself a break. It's important. And give yourself a break when you're beating yourself up as well. Anyway, like, you go on these package holidays, or you don't. And when you get there, you get a rep. A rep. Now, I wanted to do images first because I knew that I'd get the images that I'm looking for just by doing this. This is what I'm looking for. See, I knew I'd get it. Holiday reps. Aren't they happy? Yes, definitely. Are they peppy? Oh, you are damn right they're peppy. Sometimes, like this one on the right, I've had a holiday where this woman on the right's looked after me. They're also quite stern. They don't want everyone getting drunk and like drowning in the pool. Like they corral you as well. You know, they corral you. And there's an activity on Wednesday, so do you want to sign up for the activity? And they get an extra commission if you all go to the dolphin tour. So they sign you all up and you go to the dolphin tour. You go on the holiday. There's a rep, yeah. All right, that's the package holiday rep. You get the gist, don't you? A lot of young people do it, like working holidays. Look, a lot of young people are holiday reps, and you turn up at the place and you work a whole season as the holiday rep, and you see people come and go, and you help them with their holidays when they get to the hotel. You're the holiday rep. When they get off the plane, you've got to get them on the bus. When they've got to get back on the bus, you know, it's a package holiday. Someone's got to organise all that package, make sure everyone gets to the right hotel. That's your job. You're the holiday rep. Looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks like a nice job. They all have fun. You'd think they would. You'd hope they would. I don't know. Anyway, that's very different from what people see as social services. In the UK, there's social services, and like they're trying. I mean, I'm probably not going to find bad pictures of social services, am I? Because it's all media glossed. But the people who are engaging with social services sometimes feel at odds with social services. Social services is like kids in care, or like, let's say there's a child around the corner and they're always screaming, their parents are always hitting them, and you think, God, this isn't going well. Who am I going to report that to? People report you to social services. They come around, they take your kids off you. Like, it's one of them. One thing. Like, so people don't like social services. They feel like social services are their enemy. Yeah. We get that as a concept. Do you understand that as a concept? I'm not going to find any pictures of social services being bad people. P-E-O-P-L. Sometimes people think, oh, they're the sort of people that they just want to get into other people's lives and, you know, take their kids off them, the bastards. Child protection. They're actually in it for child protection, aren't they? So they're not bastards. But if you're on the pointy end of the stick, if social services are coming around and saying, can I have a look in your bathroom, please? What's this? Like, are you using these needles for injecting heroin? Like, then you're going to be like, oh, I don't want social services to come around. I hate them. The Genshin music while talking about social services, right? So you get the concept anyway. What I'm saying is, this here, the package holiday, these people having fun, they're doing a social service. They're not taking anyone's kids off them, so no one's cross. But sometimes on holiday, they won't let you have another free drink at the bar, or they won't let you take that furniture into the pool with you. And you're like, fuck off, I'm on holiday, you chuffer. I want the lilo in the pool. I want the fucking sunbed in the pool as well. It's my holiday. I'm on package holiday. Get me another beer, you. And they're like, I think you've had enough. Sometimes they don't, like, you know, they have to draw the lines. But they're providing a social service, yeah? It can't be argued anything but, can it? They're happy. I mean, it's nicer out there because the sun's out, but they're happy. They're providing a social service. They're happy, they're providing a social service. But when we have social services, they take your kids off you. Everyone hates them. So what I'm saying is, mental health, bringing it back to this. Establishing community-based caseworkers who can help people navigate complex mental health services, that could go two ways. You could either be, because this is a government report, remember, you could either be establishing the local Stasi who are going to poke their noses in on everyone's business and have you locked up in the loony bin if they don't like the cut of your jib. Yeah, they could be establishing the local Stasi, like the SS. Could be doing that, or you know, because that when you're talking about social controls and people, the things people are angry about with what's recently been happening and the way that Priti Patel and you know the protesters, the bill where you weren't allowed to make noise when you protest and all that. Well, I don't want a community Stasi who are there to signpost local support, but also come around my house and lock me up for being a bit mental. Like, no. But what I would like is social services. And again, look, young people having fun, like caring. You know, when you see carers and they're not always. I used to be a carer for my nan, and we had these other people come and help. And like, they were always cheerful. All right, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, it's tough today. And like, can you give me a hand? You know, needs a bit of a wash in the, you know, areas. And they'd be like, no problem, I got that. And I'd think, fucking hell, like, how can you keep that cheery glow when you're dealing with all this stuff? But they did, like, you know, I imagine if you've ever been to hospital, the nurses are not really cobby and angry. Like, even though they're working long hours and doing difficult jobs, they're quite often nice to you. So that's what I'm saying. We don't want a local Stasi, but we do want a mental health support network that is local people who are happy and cheerful and carry people along and, you know, organise little... They've got the clipboard, not in a Stasi way, not in a give me your details, I want your papers, but in a more sort of, you know, we're doing a class on pottery this week, do you fancy it? You know, going around knocking everyone's fucking door once a week saying, hi, I'm your local mental health rep, how are you feeling? Is there anything we can do for you? Have you seen these classes? You know, do you know what I mean? Like, that can't be a bad thing to factor in, can it? For society. You'd have to go around in twos, wouldn't they? Because you can't have just... You'd have to go around in twos for safety. But the concept of a mental health rep organising and overseeing a small... Because we're talking about networks of social networks now. The whole point of today's episode, loneliness, is that what we're discovering through this report is that loneliness is a huge problem, and the way to fix it is to get people into doing stuff together. And right at the bottom, we talk, there's like the answers here. This is like going to the end of the test and looking at the answers. Recommendations for tackling loneliness, because there's a big report which I'm not going to go too deep into, but maybe it's because of the environment though. People don't rail against these folks because they're on holiday. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're not on holiday. You're good. Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is, at the moment, if I were to say we're going to build a mental health hospital, yeah, and you picture that in your mind, you picture it more like Bedlam, you know, straight jackets and locks on the doors, injections in the bum, you know, take your pills or we're going to lock you up, you know, electroshock therapy. You think of a mental health hospital more like that, and maybe you do now I've said that. That's the stigma. I shouldn't be saying this online, but honestly, I think people think of it more like that than they do, you know, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, but you can't really have a beer because it's going to make you anxious, and we're not serving alcohol to the mentally unwell. But, like, you know, it's a really cool hangout place, and we've got a class on pottery. What's a Stasi? What do you mean, what's a Stasi? The Stasi come at night. It's one of my lyrics from my songs. The Stasi come at night. It's in Hitler's time and day, in Hitler world, in 1940s Hitler world, in the German Hitler world, the Stasi were like the secret police, and you got like thought police, and like you've got to be a good Hitler fan, you've got to be a good stan of Hitler, and if you're not, if you're secretly like, oh, I tell you what, his moustache is well stupid, they'd be like, we heard him saying that so-and-so was stupid. It's like the communist, was it the communist, the Stasi? They're like secret Nazi police that come around your house and steal you in the night, and then you don't know where you go. I don't know where you go. Probably to the old boot camp. No, it wasn't a boot camp, was it? What was it called? Concentration camp. Concentration camp, where you have to pay attention. I'll tell you what, you have to pay attention. So it's Stasi are like... Oh look, Putin was in the Stasi. Is that Putin? He was in the Stasi. It's communist secret police. I think the SS were Hitler's ones and the Stasi were the communist ones. The East German secret police. So they're German. They are German. The East German secret police. Can't be good, can it? Do you know what I mean? It can't be good. They're not handing out flowers and putting little secret sweeties under people's pillows, are they? The German secret police. So, yeah, we won't look at them anymore. I mean, I like the way you like it. That's the way. The way you love me is insane. Oh, bless. You know, Stasi would mix up concentration camp with boot camp. They're very similar. Very similar. You know, I also think with concentration camp, because the word concentrate means to think, doesn't it? You know, to concentrate on something. So I don't know why that is the word they used. I mean, maybe it's because there's so many of them there. They were in high concentration, like dilute and concentrated. Maybe it's that, but concentration camp, like, for people who can't study, for people with ADHD who can't study, who need to knuckle down, concentration camp. It's time for you to concentrate. Sit down there, look at that. Don't look at me, look at that. No, back at it, look at it. The text. The text, boy. That's what my teachers used to say to me. Look at the text, boy. So yeah, that's the Stasi. Glad we covered that. So what I don't want is there to be like a local Stasi tackling loneliness. But what I do want is for there to be a jolly, happy-go-lucky, you know, not everyone's going to engage with it, not everyone's going to think it's up their street, but there should be, you know, looking at it in the same way. Instead of, if we don't want problems in society, we need to invest in society, yeah? If we don't want people to be having mental health problems, the knock-on effect, as we see in the report, is that people who get really depressed, they feel really lonely, they go on to do bad things. They get, like, whether it's detrimental or socially detrimental, they're not happy, positive people. The second girl from the right ain't having it. She's got the model looks. She's got the model looks. You can't get a good picture of them all smiling at the same time. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable to have to touch each other. I wouldn't. I mean, maybe if you're in that line of work, you don't mind, but I'd just be like, can we just stand near it? Do I have to put my arms around him? He's all sweaty from the bus. Anyway, look, she's got a lot of lipstick on though. She's gone for that. I don't know if, you know what, I just realised I was saying that thinking it must be quite hot wearing makeup. I don't know if it is. It's just like an extra layer though, isn't it? It's like an extra layer. So you don't want too many layers on. Gone for the lipstick in the sun. I wonder if they gave them the sunglasses or if they bought them themselves. You wouldn't let me tell you. Well, just in this picture, in this circumstance, this is a work photograph. Remember, we're not the mental health support group. We're the holiday reps. You've come on your holiday, and I'm going to help you with your holiday. I don't need to touch all the people that I work with, like in the photos. The photographers obviously told them to do it. They haven't said, "Oh, why don't we all put our arms around each other?" The photographer said, "Right, all scooch in. Right, you put your arms around them, and you put your arms. That's it. Get closer in. I like it. Nice. Right. Now smile." And like, you know, and they're thinking, "Fuck this. Fuck this, man. He's all sweaty from his." They've had to change the shirt 3 times. You must get armpit sweats, mustn't you? You're out in the sun like that. Tight t-shirts on. Don't worry, I've got a job lot of them. I'm the TUI photographer. What's your size? Yeah, right, scooch up. Can you smile? Smile, this is a dream job. Everyone's smile. Look at their shoes. They've got the same shoes on. That must be horrible. I wouldn't be having that. They're not exactly the same though. Look, they're not exactly the same. They're all blue, but they're not exactly the same. Some of them have got different. They've got white on the bottom. These two have got white on the bottom, but these two have got black on the soles. So they're not exactly the same. I wonder if they get an option of footwear. All the laces are the same colour. You'd think like it's a uniform, so maybe they've gone for shoes as well. I wouldn't be wearing shoes that you're telling me. He's got Nikes on, you see. He's got Nikes, and they're not Nike. They're Mizuno's, I think. I think you're just told navy shoes, aren't you? But I certainly wouldn't be letting someone choose my shoes for me. Anyway, you don't have to, because you don't work on holidays thing. What you might do is you might work as a rep for mental health. And it would probably be a good idea for us to have not only a mental health rep, but like they'd only exist if there were things for them to organise. Like if you had a proper system and a mental health hospital, drop-in centre, lots of classes, lots of fun stuff going on, family oriented, you know, film night, whatever, you know, lots of stuff going on. Like all the fun stuff you get at the pub, like quiz night, just without the alcohol. And then the rep would be coming around and making sure people are involved, and now that's got to be better. That's got to be better than people never hearing a knock at the door at all. And like I'm saying, I don't want a social services Stasi. That's not what I'm looking for, so I've covered that now. Right, these are the recommendations. There were few examples of psychological interventions being used to address loneliness. Usually it was something else they've had interventions with. So it's worth noting that. It's not just loneliness. They haven't had, none of the people on their report, it's not a big report, remember. It's only a small report. They only asked 37 people, but none of them had an intervention, or very few examples of interventions just for loneliness. even though it's a massive problem. Usually it's like they've got this other problem and they've been in, clearly they're involved in mental health support for some other reason, and loneliness has come up as well. The way we can fix it is support from family or friends. Well, I think we've covered that. I don't have to go on about it. We have covered it in Mental Health Monday. We know what support from family or friends is about. No one in the world doesn't understand what that concept is. I'm not going to give you any top tips today, other than just it's there on the list. Group activities. So, general groups around shared interests. Now, this isn't... Look, it does say mental health specific groups. It does say it. They suggested that attending groups just for that issue, like I've got anxiety, I want to go to the anxiety group. And we saw earlier that it would be better if it was an anxiety group for women or for men or for people of certain faith, because certain groups feel they don't want to speak out in front of other groups. So actually not discriminatory, but having these safe spaces would be good for certain groups. So that's obviously on the list. I mean, if you're writing a report for how can we improve the mental health services in this country, and on your report is activity groups for people experiencing mental health issues, then you're fucked already, aren't you? You're totally fucked. We are so far down the line fucked, it's unbelievable. Because what do you mean mental health specific support groups? You think that'd be a good idea, do you? Oh, I'll get right on that. I mean, fucking hell, it's 2022. Of course that's a good idea. Why have we not got loads of them? Why have we not got loads of them? How can we have a mental health support system in our country that doesn't offer activity groups specifically for people experiencing mental health issues? Like, we're fucked, aren't we? We're fucked. But obviously it's a good idea. Do you think we were better at this some years ago? No, I don't. We just have the local loner down the pub regularly, and now sort of exacerbate the isolation of people because it's less acceptable to shop down the pub. Actually, it's a good point there. I don't think we're better at mental health years ago. Clearly, just it bears out in the statistics that although they're not getting better, they're getting worse. Certain statistics are getting worse, but we know that it was more stigmatised in the past, and there were other factors, including like factors we haven't mentioned here, like maybe race, or I suppose we mentioned gender earlier, but like I think it actually maybe I'd say different. I don't know too much because I wasn't alive 70 years ago or what have you, but I do really take your point. And I also think that maybe years ago it'd be more normal for smaller communities to engage in other people's lives, to know what was going on with your neighbours. Like these days people are more isolated, aren't they, just by the nature of the way society is. We talk more online, but we engage with our neighbours less maybe. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and certainly, the local village hall or the local pub being the meeting place, like, maybe those sort of things have broken down. I've got a local pub up my road, and I do feel if I ever want to go and I don't drink alcohol, but if I ever want to go in there, I should be able to run into someone I know. And if I, go in there enough, I'll end up running into people that become regular friends because they're in there. There are places like that, but quite often it's with alcohol involved as well, and that doesn't help. Alcohol makes it worse. But certainly these conversations we have these days, I think it's got to be better these days in years ago you would have the local loner, they'd be down the pub, no one would really like go deeper in terms of mental health support. They wouldn't understand and to go deeper, it'd just be like this person is sad, the end. But now we understand a lot more about mental health, so people more people can have more knowledge about it. I think would be better. Isolation, less acceptable, just hop down the pub. It's a funny thing, isn't it, as well? I'm not going to just say down the pub, but also like, let's say you're at the park and like, you talk to somebody, like, is that acceptable these days, or are you a pervert or a pedo? I actually find that whilst I've got the same worries and inhibitions, like a great example, yesterday I was walking my dog and this bloke was there with his two children. They're both little girls, they had their dog, and so like I'm not a pedo but I am talking to this man and his children, there's the dog, and like I didn't go away from it thinking, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have talked to these. Like I feel, no, it's just natural human interaction. Because you're not a pedo, you don't have to worry. So like at first you might feel inhibited, or people might think it's less acceptable to just strike up a conversation in a public place, but actually when it happens, people don't mind it so much. They find it cheerful and amiable, as long as you are being, generally, cheerful and amiable, and you weren't asking those little girls for their phone numbers. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's a little bit like dip your toe in the water. Is the water fine? Just jump in. It's lovely. Like, quite often it's that. And I'd actually think, going to this point, general groups and shared interests. These days, there's a lot more, I would hope, a lot more shared interest groups. There's a lot more diverse interests. Maybe it's just sort of inadvertent help by nature of communities being a little tighter. Yeah, I think that. I think communities were definitely tighter in the past. Definitely. My grandparents knew everyone on their street. I don't know half the people on my street. Absolutely guaranteed. You're right in that point. And also, they lived through some different. We're talking about a generation that lived through the war. Not going further back than that. Maybe I don't know much further back about it, but the generation that lived through the war lived through an absolute. Like, we've just lived through COVID. That has been like our war. We've lost some people. My nan lost 9 brothers in the war. Like, in the war, she lost all her 9 brothers. And she wasn't like on her own sad. Everyone she knew lost all of their relatives and friends, and like what I'm saying, like we had a generation that went through a mental health crisis together, but thankfully we won the fucking war, so at least we had that to fall back on and feel good about. They were partying at the end. They were having parties at the end, weren't they? Victory over Europe in Europe Day, they were partying about that. But yeah, it's funny. I think COVID has been slightly different. It would have been the same in the war. There would have been people that would have been saying, "Oh, you didn't go and fight at the front line, you fucker," and they'd have been arguing about. But it would have been a bit more clear cut. There wasn't like a Hitler conspiracy group who thought that Hitler was actually a good person. Or, do you know what I mean? It would have been a bit more clear cut. And yeah, shared experience. I think these days, I can feel my throat getting a bit sore. I've got my dinner to get to, so. Today's Mental Health Monday will be cut down slightly, but these days what we have more of is these general groups and shared interests. And what's really interesting to me about Mental Health Monday, specifically here, is that we're talking about we need to get men talking more. We're talking about we need to get kids talking more. We need to get everyone talking more, about mental health. Yeah, obviously that. It's not just good enough to talk. We need to offer support as well. We need to be able to say, I'm not going to be able to fix your problems online today, but if you want to check out mind.org.uk, then they've got a really, a wealth of support there. Get and speak to your doctor if you're worried about your mental health. Don't let it fester, because it might just be a conversation today and an appointment next week, and then by the time you get there, you might even feel a bit worse. Not being too negative, but it takes like 6 months on a waiting list in our country at the moment to get that support for some people. So it's worth getting on the waiting list early if you're feeling a bit worried about it. So I can offer support in that aspect, but I can't fix people's problems online. So it's important that whilst we bring it up and talk about it, I offer something further ongoing, because that's a bit of a worry, isn't it? But the interesting thing here is that general groups such as baking or woodwork, or groups relating to your personal characteristics, like a women's running group or a mother's group, or ethnicity specific or faith specific groups. So churches are that, aren't they? Like mosques are that. They are a faith specific group. And groups for active people with disabilities, like whatever you are, whatever the thing that people use to discriminate you against you, use it to your strength and become a group. But what they're saying here is that these groups, they're not relating to mental health, but by going to the art class and speaking with other people of a similar age range who enjoy the same thing as you, or getting involved in the cycling club, like whatever it is that's your thing, that actually really helps your mental health. And it fits all these boxes. It's tailored to men, or it's tailored to women, or it's, because when you're in one of these clubs, some of them may be more egalitarian, and you might be talking about a woodworking class, men, women, rabbis and imams, or you might just want to go to the women's swimming club, or what I'm saying, whatever it is your thing, whatever you feel good at, you do that. And it comes along with these other people like you that feel that same way, that give you that mental health support. Maybe not because they're trained in it, which is a bit of a shame, because actually, whilst I think this is a good suggestion, general groups, the mental health specific ones come with that backing, hopefully, of some education, some further help, some support that can be actioned. But it is just a good point. I think also what's true as well, what you were saying about Roger, what you were saying about the pub is interesting as well, is that maybe in the past, more commonly, everyone would go to the same pub from the local, there'd be less wider transit and travel. Like, you'd be more likely to go to the local pub, so it'd have maybe more of a community feel. And I think now that things have changed a bit, maybe the local pub has less of a community feel and more it's just the hardened drinkers. I don't know, but those groups were more like my grandparents' generation were part of the British Legion club, weren't they? And they went to that club once a week. It wasn't just like a pub, it was like they took us little grandkids to bingo night or what have you. Like, it was a community group. And now I'm on the internet playing this game, and someone else is over there on a photography forum, and this Facebook group are just concerned with horse riding, and it gets more narrow. These are groups, general group shared interests. That's a good thing, but it can also segment us and narrow us down. And that's why I think my suggestion isn't just do support groups. These support groups are important. My suggestion is to give that overarching banner, to put it under an umbrella, to say the mental health centre is a place where you come and do pottery, and and here's our rep. Enjoy yourself. We're going to help. And obviously, crisis point, you can come here as well. We've got a little A&E ward over there. Dedicated personnel, counselling. If you're having a mental health crisis, come here. Because we need people who are educated and trained as well, don't we? We don't just want the support to be given by general society, because otherwise we're falling into those traps with stigmas and not talking again. But it's important that these people have outlined that these groups are important to them. So that was the big thing that came out of this, is group activities. Support from family and friends, group activities. It's a big thing that's come out of this, look. And it's easy that's really handy for our government, because they don't have to spend money on it. You have to do that yourself, you fuckers. Carrie Johnson can have another luxury carpet in her flat. Carrie Johnson can have some more luxury and have a little party. Carrie Johnson can have another luxury champagne party, and you can sort your own fucking mental health groups out, you chuffers. That's why I say it should be clear. It should be like the NHS for mental health, and they should have just like I should know the logo. I should be able to see it on the high street. I should be able to drop in and say, I'm not here for a big problem today. I just thought, check out what classes you've got on, or I'm here to volunteer, or I thought I might want to learn floristry, and this is the place to come, isn't it? Like, not like a serious, like maybe they could combine with colleges, I don't know, but like, or someone knocking on my door and saying, look, we haven't seen you out 3 weeks in a row. You used to come to computer class. What do you think? You could just come to the cafe. We've got a comedy night on tomorrow. Hope to see you there. No, it's all important, isn't it? It's all part of it together. So I think if we spend the money on building the institutions, training the people, creating the roles, that's taxpayer money going into a good place. It helps to support the society. It helps to give people jobs. Right now in the economy, we need building, we need investment. It's not about tinkering with the money supply. It's not about tinkering with the interest rates. It's not about saying, like in this amount of months, we'll do this with the VAT, or like, you're fucking that up. They're fucking that up. They always fuck that up. But if you build a walloping great thing and pay people to build it, and you put on jobs and you pay people to come into the jobs and you pay them a good wage, don't fuck them over and do it as a privatised industry, then it's quite straightforward, isn't it? That every local area gets a boost. This is what we could call it levelling up. Taking the existing setup that we've got, adding to it, making it better, level up. Instead of just fire station, police station, hospital, now you've got mental health support centre. Now you've got separate virus contingency centre, paid for by our taxpayer. Yeah, absolutely. And where are we going to find that money? Oh God, it's such a chuffer. Well, just don't have Boris stealing it. Don't have them giving their contracts to their friends. Let's not spend it on more guns for you bombing people in Afghanistan, and let's make some better decisions along the way. Richie Sunak has now got on the rich list. So instead of that, maybe this. That's all I'm saying. Take Richie Sunak off the rich list, fuck him off, and let's have this instead. When they next have politics and elections, I'm considering actually being a bit more political on this channel. That's as far as I want to go politically. I'm not trying to make people's decisions for them. I'm just saying I think this would be a good idea. It's in the report. The report is biased because it's a government report, and the government have got a new mental health act or bill that they're putting through. Draft mental health bill 2022. So this is a bit more detailed. If you want to read this in your own time, be my guest. It's a bit more legal because it talks about grounds for detention, definitions of autism, grounds for discharge by tribunal, appropriate treatment, therapeutic benefit, and when you don't have to treat people. If you don't think it's going to benefit them, you don't have to give them anything. Responsibilities, treatment decisions, reviews of treatment. It does bring up some concepts about patients having more of a voice, but detention periods, this is a bit more about the legality of mental health. And what I was looking for was something about, like, tribunal powers in guardianship cases and burdens of proof are important, don't get me wrong. Removal of police stations and prisons as places of safety is a massive one. It's gone on there just as number 41, but people were dying in police cells when they were looking for mental health support. They were being locked in a police cell, and then they just either... Well, I'm not going to go into that. If you're worried about suicide, absolutely call them mental health hotlines, because don't call the police and end up in a cell. And anyway, look, remand for person's own protection. That's been looked at here, so that's good. That's good. But you can see it's mainly about that, isn't it? It's mainly about legalities and things like that, the mental health bill. So the government can say, we did a report. We had a big report. We looked at mental health research and analysis. The Department for Digital Culture did it. And after that, we put together a bill, and, you elected us and we did our work. And what did you do? You made it, like, easier to arrest people and easier to deny them treatment. Obviously, you can't put them in a mental health... If they've got mental health problems, you can't put them in a police station anymore, so you don't even have to worry about detaining them at the police. The police, their life's easier now. They just put them off in the hospitals and their job's done. So I think it's more about that than it is about helping people and supporting them, isn't it? So that's what's happened recently. That's why we're covering this, the draft mental health bill. So I'm not a big political channel, but they're fucking it up. So you be good, my little podcast. That's Mental Health Monday for today. It's supposed to make you feel better and more positive. If anything, you might feel compelled, or you might feel interested enough, or you might feel, it might just settle on you like a nice vegan nugget. It might just settle on your stomach, and you might think, hang on, you know what? I haven't played pool for a while. And it's not about me encouraging to drink. I don't drink alcohol. I'm not saying go to the pub, but, I haven't gone swimming for a while, or whatever the thing is that you like. Or even a new thing that you said you were going to start doing. Times are tough at the moment. Money's going to get tight. I get it. But, I got vegan nuggets in the oven. I left them... I've turned the oven off. They're just warm in the oven. This, hopefully, whilst I can say, oh, poo-poo the government, they're fucking it up. But what we, the people, can do... I'm doing it right here now. I'm forging ahead, forming a community. Roger, you're part of it now. You can't go back. You can't unsee this. You've been part of it now. You're complicit. So we're building a community here. I've got a YouTube channel, Ganji Kid. On that YouTube channel, I upload all my stuff, where I do streams of all kinds. I went to watch the Rolling Stones and put a little video up of that, and it got 12k views. Fucking hell. I really rather people would be watching Mental Health Monday. Or we fly our Volocopter over London in Flight Simulator. We just do all sorts of fun stuff. We do Words on Wednesday. See, I'm actually trying to make the world better. Words on Wednesday. You type words in chat on YouTube, and I give money to charity. That's the way that works. It's like a word game live system, and if you win the word game, I give money to charity. Well, you do, effectively, because you're tipping me. So that's how it works. Trying to build a community, making people's lives better, feeling good, playing a few games, looking at a few boxing matches, doing all sorts of stuff. I am a variety streamer. That's what I'm called. Variety. So if you like something, it won't be there forever. Don't get your hopes up. But if you like something, it probably will be there eventually again. Like a revolving carousel of content. And as part of that, we do Mental Health Monday. So we've done it today. I hope you feel good. I hope you feel compelled. Like someone, peppy. I'm not that peppy myself today. They're cold now. Yeah, you're right. They are cold now, you're right. But, you know, they've been cooked once. So I could imagine, I remember what it was like when they were hot, and I'll eat them with that in mind. It's only a matter of will. It's only willpower. It's only mind over matter. I don't mind, and it doesn't matter. That was my old coach used to say that to me, but he said it different. He used to say, look, run another lap. And I'd say, I don't want to run another lap. I'm really tired. And he'd say, it's mind over matter. And I'd say, yeah, but... And he'd go, look, I don't mind, and you don't matter. Now get running. So we'd run. But now I'm saying, look, the nuggets are cold, but I don't mind, and it don't matter. That's a good... I might use that for mental health in the future. Mental Health Monday. Mind over matter. But what I'm doing here is I'm your peppy. Look, I've got my finger pointed. Sort yourself out, you. Sort yourself out, you. Either look at the mental health support online or talk to people online. You can talk here, obviously not now because I'm about to go. So sort yourself out. Get down the pub, not the pub. Get down the old. Have a holiday. Whatever it is your thing. Whatever it is your thing. Get involved. Don't just do it, you know, on your own. Get involved in it with the people. Have some. That's the key. That's the key. Do you know what? A little secret as well. I did used to go to counselling for mental health issues, like anxieties, other things. I wanted to see a counsellor. I wanted to talk about things. I did. And one of the things that I kept saying to them, like, you know, do you not have like a... Is there like something I'm supposed to unlock here and fix? When they kept saying to me, look, join the Arts Society. Give it a few weeks, like maybe go to the swimming club. They kept suggesting that every time I brought it up, oh, I saw this thing for the Arts Society, they'd say, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Like human contact, it might be the cause of all our problems and the source of all our woes. Those chuffers. But remember, it's also something that if you've got shared interests and common goals, can put a smile on your face. That's the key to take away today. Before I go, the guy on the right looks like Harry Manning. I'll tell you what he looks like to me. Is he? I've been looking at him. I didn't want to say because I don't want to be mean to people on the internet. And he, you know, you never know. He could watch this, but he looks like he's gone for the haircut. And he said, I'll have the sides really short and the top long. And it just hasn't quite... It's made his face look smaller. He's like... Hasn't quite... It looked alright in the picture. It's one of them when he's in the... It looked alright in the waiting room on the picture. But when it's on his head and he's looking at it... He's like... It don't look the same on me. Is it the way I'm spiking it? Or is it the way my head's shaped? Looks like one of them to me. They've all got smiles on. Except for her, which that's her version of a smile. Honestly, that's her smiling. That's the best she can do. She looks like someone I know, actually. Shouldn't be too mean to her in case it is someone I know. Could you imagine? Imagine if I knew all these people. He looks like it could be someone that used to go to one of my schools. She looks vaguely familiar. You burst out laughing. Good. Right, Mental Health Monday's been an achievement and a win. Right, I made you smile. So that's it for me today. I'm going to go and eat my vegan nuggets. You be good, my little podcast. Make sure you find me on YouTube. Subscribe over there because that's like my future, my goals, my aims. Get some subscribers. Win. I'm sure there's some steps in the middle, but subscribers, win. I think that's the YouTube plan, isn't it? And I'm working at it. You're being good. And if you can't be good... If you can't be, this is the thing. You be good, because if you can't be good, then I'm going to make you go to the club. I'm going to make you go to the club with the other kids. I don't want to go to the kids' club with the other kids. I want to go to the beach with you. No. You'll enjoy the kids' club. You'll enjoy the kids' club on your package holiday. That's what I used to get. Do you remember that one? That's what my mum used to... Because my mum was a single parent. So we used to go on these package holidays and they'd be like, oh, look, there's a kids' club. And I go, I don't want to do the kids' club. She'd go, you fucking do. You'll enjoy it. And then we'd like go in the kids club. We'd do like whatever the kids club was today, like drawing or, you know, running around or chasing a crocodile or whatever it was. And then in the evening, Mom would come and pick us up from the kids club, wasted. Already absolutely wasted. Suntan all over one side of the face, but this side not tanned. Wasted. Like, time to go to bed now. Oh, bed now? Can't we have dinner? Oh, I don't know. Those were the days. Those were the days. Yeah, so you be good, and if you can't be good, then, you know, you're not going to be in the club, are you? So you'll be naughty. So if you can't be good, you're naughty.